So good.
Says we're live.
Well,
Now, I should start off by saying that given that we have received exactly 0 submissions to our FTL Devcast jingle competition, we shall not be having any intro music today, but the competition remains open for the indefinite future. So please feel. Now, I should start off by saying that
What Sam
given
was
that
going
we
to
have
sing.
received exactly 0 submissions to our FTL
We don't want that,
jingle
Jake.
competition,
Echo going on
we shall
here.
not be
Let me
having
just
any
check
intro
where that
music
echo's
today, but
coming
the
from.
competition remains
So
open.
So
Yeah.
there we go. And just turn that off. Yes, so hello, and let me turn on the
Have we
video.
announced? Yay, have we
Woohoo,
announced
there
it?
we go. Welcome everybody. Welcome San, welcome me, and welcome special guest Jay.
Yay!
Woo! So a little bit of housekeeping first of all. As you'll have noticed, we have stepped up the gear from last week and we now have video, not just our audio. However, we still aren't doing any live chat. Just we're taking little baby steps on this one and making sure we can focus on the tech side before we get distracted by everyone's amazing praise and positive feedback about how awesome we all are. So please don't try and find a link or put chat in because there isn't one. Now I'm just going to have a quick look for confirmation from our in-app correspondent Dora to see whether we are all going ahead functioning okay. Nothing yet. So we're just going to talk to ourselves until we have confirmation that that is all good. So how are you guys?
Awesome.
Are you
I
ever
am.
not awesome, Sam? Is there ever a time when you say, "I'm shit today"?
Yeah, every morning at about 9 o'clock when everybody shows up, that's the moment that I say that. And by about, what is it? Yeah, 5 o'clock right now. It's perfectly awesome. No, it's all good always. We're all happy.
It's a
We're
little
all
9 to 5 segment, right? It's a bit shit.
just a little bit.
The small bit
That's
between.
yeah.
Right, confirmation that we're all good. Video and audio both working. Thank you very much, Dora. So let's get on with the show. Right, what we're talking about today. I've completely lost what we're talking about today.
We had quite a
There we
few
go.
topics on discussion.
Yes, I just lost a little screen that a handy little crib sheet that I put up. So yeah, we're going to cover a load of things today. We're going to talk about both multiverse and the flip. This is an FTL Devcast, not a specific multiverse Devcast. Obviously, the team works on all of our products simultaneously, so we may as well throw everything into the mix and just for a bit of variety, which is why we've got Jake on board here as our environment artist. And a very skilled laddie as well. So I think the first thing we've got on our list is something that was obviously launched this week, and that is the XP in Multiverse.
Well, it wasn't launched.
Sorry, it was officially announced.
That's it. Officially announced. Yeah, so what we're going to do is talk a little bit about the XP. I know everybody's having a lot of questions about it, and we did do the official announcement in the newsletter. I want to follow up and just make sure that everything from that newsletter is clear, that we understand what's happening, what's going on. At some point, probably next week, we need to test a little bit more and make sure that everything's running smoothly. But if things go to plan, then at some point next week, we will be launching the trial of multiverse levels and experience points, which is going to be pretty awesome. Basically, it will allow us to start tracking what users do by giving them experience points for doing them. So we're not going to tell you what, and I'm not going to hint at too much because that's going to ruin the surprise. But what you will see is in Multiverse after the update, there will be an update going out live. We will, of course, announce the update. When you get that update, you'll be able to launch the app, and in the app, on your wrist menu, you will be able to see a bar that shows your progress towards the next level. It will tell you the level that you're currently on, and above your head, there will be a number in a icon that shows you your level and lets everybody else see your level. So it's going to be something that will give everybody a sense of their progress through the app and give other people a sense of your progress through the app. So if you see somebody in the app claiming to be an OG, telling you how to do things, and they've only got number one in the icon above their head, then you know that they might not be telling the truth. On the other hand, if somebody's pretending to be a noob and doesn't know what to do but has 369 above their head, then obviously they might not be telling the truth either. At the beginning, everybody will be level one. So even even myself, even Jake, even Wendy, everybody will be level one, and we'll all have to go through the process of ranking up. The key thing that the trial is there to do is to give us, the developers, a sense of how quickly people rank up, what takes time to achieve, how quickly we achieve results, and where that all ends up.
Yeah, it's a very standard mechanic. Many games you play on all platforms have this ranking level up system, so it's nothing new, nothing innovative in that sense. But we're not a game. Why are we doing this? Like those are going to say, well, what are you turning this into a game now? Is it changing? No. One of the key things we want to do is actually help people through the app more. It's massive. There is so much stuff in there now. You guys have made so much stuff. It can be overwhelming. Even when I go in there, I want to see some new stuff, see what you guys have been creating, and I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. So this is a way it will help guide you through. Once you discover what it is you get points for, once it is you work out how to level up, it will help people through a pathway, through the app, to make the most of it and really explore those unexplored areas you've not seen before, revisit ones you maybe forgotten about. So it's not about gamifying things, it's really about helping you explore the app to its fullest and really benefit from what other people have done, benefit from what you've created, and really heighten that sense of exploration and participation and community that we always really want to push forward.
Yeah, I mean, there's two things I think you mentioned that I want to reiterate and re-stress. The first is that most games have a tutorial, and that tutorial continues in really good games most of the way through the game. So basically, the final stage of the game where you've unlocked all the abilities that your character has and you're doing, using all the weapons, that's sort of like the end goal. That's where we want people to be in a game. And the tutorial of a game will take people through those stages right from the beginning, where they learn how to press a button and duck or jump, through to looking around and aiming, through to shooting headshots or something else. I'm using a shooter as an example here, obviously. But that process is very valuable in teaching people how to use a product and what a product is for. Now, with Multiverse, I think one of the biggest problems that we have is anybody who knows it and has worked it out has got it from the ground up years ago and knows what they're doing. But for new people, it can be an intimidating experience. It can be an overwhelming experience. And I think that many of our OGs came back from the days when we had a planetarium, and in total, there was only 38 rooms in the whole app. Today, we've got over 1 million environments across the whole app that have been created by you guys and ourselves. And those are obviously, well, it's changing the whole experience, and it makes it much more overwhelming and confusing. So for us, I think it's really important that we help handhold users through that experience. Like you said, Wendy, show them everything there is to see, and experience points are going to be part of that process. We are going to announce some other features that will go alongside the experience points and the levels that will hopefully make it all clearer and explain to you how we're going to use those to achieve that. So that's one thing. The second thing is that we want to reward people for things that benefit everybody. We want to create a win-win scenario. We want to reward people for doing things that you guys want them to do. So whether that be visit your storefront or whether that be hang out together, all of these things are things that we're going to tie into the system, and we're going to make it a win-win scenario where people benefit from the experience point system by rewarding them for things that are beneficial to everybody. I think those are the two main things that we're trying to achieve with experience points, and the trial period is there to see how quickly does it rank up. Does it actually work? Does it help people move in those directions? Can people work out for themselves what they're getting experience points for? Do we have to announce it? Are some things too generous or some things too stingy? All of those things are things we'll work out in the trial period.
Yeah, it's a ridiculously fragile system working out some of the XP points. Exactly how many do you give, when, what for, and then when you level up, So obviously the first levels you move up very quickly. So to go from level 1 to level 2, pretty much instant, just by doing a couple of things. But to get from level 10 to 20, much harder. Level 100 to 101, much, much harder still. So it's a really fine-tuning situation of getting that right. You get it wrong, and it destroys the whole system. Either it's far too difficult and no one cares anymore, or it's far too easy and there's no point to it. So we need a trial period.
In a day, there's going to be someone that finds some kind of bug where they can repeat something 100 times in 5 minutes, and then they're level 100. So
exactly, some little loophole like, if I just literally turn in a circle, then it's going to do something. It's sorting that out, because this kind of thing is as Sam said, it's a powerful thing to help you guys really exploit this app properly. But it can only be powerful if we get that calibration right, which is why this trial period is going to be really important. And as we announced, at the end of the trial period, which will be up to 2 months, all levels will be reset. We will then analyse that information, tweak those dials, turn those switches to based on what we've seen, and then start with the actual period.
Yeah. And there are a couple of things that we've announced that I think we should just talk through. I mean, obviously, if you've read the newsletter that Dora sent out, you'll have noticed that there are some relatively interesting rewards and perks for participating in this whole trial. And I'd like to talk through those very quickly. The first is the rewards you'll get for participating in Multiverse experience points. And we've set 2 tiers. We've set level 10 and we've set level 100. And we're going to reward people with Metacoin for achieving those levels. And that's really valuable to us, because again, it will hopefully incentivize people to go in there and actually use the experience point system, gain the levels, and thereby have a reward or a payment for doing that. So that's the first thing. We really recommend you participate in that, and I can't wait to see who's the first person to level 100, and I'm sure it will be Jake.
Definitely
I'll race you, Jake. I'll just have a morning of testing all my normal stuff, which will probably rank me up every point I can get.
Yes, I think Wendy's been sitting at home with a little spreadsheet, crib sheet, working out how many combinations of different things she can do at the same time to get the most points and break the system.
But
so
I
we'll
know
have to see what happens.
Survive longer in the headset without getting sick before most people. So.
I think Jake is also a better shot. So if there are any experience points for going into Zombie Town, it could be that Jake gets...
I am crap at Zombie Town. So one thing you guys may not realise is, or some of you may, when you're making a game, you're making an app, you have dev cheats, dev menus. You may have seen us in Multiverse. We put up little menus, we can pull out special room bubbles, we can have special powers that do. We have those over in the flip as well, so we can jump to places, we can jump to the end, we can destroy all the nodes instantly, we can have all sorts of things, because when you're testing, it's quite important to be able to test what you need to test without getting killed or without having to go through the whole thing. Zombie Town doesn't have that. Zombie Town has 0 cheats, 0 jumps, 0 dev things. So every time I need to put anything in there that's not in that start thing, I've got to play through the whole friggin' level to get to see it, and I'm rubbish at it. All I want to do is check that the thing I put in is there, and I can't walk through the walls, I can't teleport there, I have to play it. So yeah, if I get
Jake, is it now that we should announce?
Actually get more.
Is it now that we should announce that there are actually some secrets, but we just haven't told Wendy how to access them?
Better bloody not be. I've been pressing all the combinations of dev menus.
Yeah. Actually, there is a cheat that we use that is tricky, which is the skipping the tutorial one. And I've actually only used that maybe like a handful of times, because I've been determined to go through it each time and make sure that I don't not do what the consumer does. But I know that Ollie, I don't think, has ever actually finished the tutorial.
I had to practically bully Chris to tell me that cheat, because he was like, gee, because it's really important to go through, and tutorial is something, it's a very important part of the app. It's important that it works, it's important it doesn't break, and if you skip it, you never see that. And he would not tell me the cheat, but yeah, bullied it out of it.
Yeah, well done. Okay, so yeah, that's the first thing is we're giving rewards, MC rewards for completing the experience points when you get them. So make sure you go in there, make sure you get to level 10, make sure you get to level 100 if you can. We'd appreciate it. We really appreciate it. It will help us a lot. And obviously, you'll be getting rewards yourselves. Now, in the final implementation of the experience points, we are looking to award people perks or rewards for completing levels. We're not going to talk about what those are yet. We're still in the process of fine-tuning what they might be, what they could be, what they can be, what works, what doesn't, how it works, as well as working out, excuse me, how the leveling system, how quickly it goes, and therefore, what sort of rewards we can give people that make sense. But there will be rewards in the final implementation as well, so be aware of that. The other thing we are doing is we are going to be giving away a plot. Wendy, talk to us a little bit about that. So we're looking at the top 20.
Yes, so this is part of the trial feature. So when it has finished, we'll be looking at the players, we have the top 20 players in terms of XP points. And of those, we'll be doing a draw, and one lucky winner will be allocated ownership of a plot. We haven't confirmed the exact details yet, whether it's going to be a plot completely at random or whether there'll be a selection to choose from. We don't know. We're just going to look a little bit. I mean, to be quite brutally honest, we haven't even got discussing that yet. It's not that we haven't decided or have forgotten. It's just we've been sorting out all the other details. So I can't share what I don't know, but we will confirm the details of that. We wanted to make sure that it was a bit fairer rather than just awarding the top player, to give it a bit more democratic approach, look at the top 20 players, because you'd have all, have put in the effort and the work to do it, so it's only fair that the reward goes to one of a group of people rather than just the top earner who may have, or not have found a loophole, but people are actually doing things playing by the book. So yeah, that will hopefully be yet one more icing on the incentive cake to take part in this trial.
Yeah. So I'm quite excited about giving that one away. It's a big deal, and I think we're going to be choosing quite a cool plot if I have anything to do with it that we'll be giving out. So yeah, make sure you get in there, make sure you get in the top 20, and yeah, tell us any of the bugs and the issues that you find with the experience points. Tell us stuff that you expected to get points for but didn't feel that you got points for. Expect us or tell us that you thought, well, this one was a little bit generous or this one was stingy. Those are the things we want to hear. And especially if you're in the top 20, make sure you communicate with us. Make sure you sign up to the Discord. Make sure we can find you, because if you are the winner and we can't find you, then we won't be able to give you the plot. So make sure you, we know who you are.
Yeah,
but yes, sign up on Multiverse Online or something like that.
Yeah, if you and a mate both did something, they get points, you didn't. If something that you thought you should get points for did get points for, didn't know what you did something twice, only got points once, all those kind of things. It's all working out. Just wondering, San, is it actually worth playing the little teaser again that we played last week, for anyone watching who hasn't actually seen that yet?
Yeah, there is, but I want to go through a couple of the other rewards first. And at the end of the whole thing of the XP, let's go do that. So the last thing is that I understand you've been making tons and tons of miniature statues of your child, Daniel, and that you're going to be putting him in as little statues across Multiverse in the Infiniverse if we get 10,000 people joining the trial. Is that right?
I mean, he is the most adorably cute little thing, and he would love it. He's actually making a little game with Chris. We've been sitting down with him and helping him make a little platform shooter game. He made the roars and the sound effects himself the other day. So
brilliant.
A microphone going boing boing, rawr, bing bing bing, and photos of his favourite toys as the characters and things. So he's being. I wouldn't say he's shown an early interest in game development. Rather, his father has forcibly sat him down, tied him to a chair, and said, "Right, we're making the game." But there may be talent there for future game devs.
Prepping him to take over Sam.
Yes.
Please.
This is your empire, my son.
Yeah. So what are we going to do? If we get 10,000 people joining the Multiverse trial, what is the goal? The actual honest goal?
Yes. So this is something that was mooted a while ago as part of the upgrade, but didn't actually happen. But it's something we've been thinking about doing for a while, and this seems to be the perfect time to do it. We know how you guys love the food statues that are plastered for no apparent reason around Infiniverse and have been since day one. The carrots, the teapots, the burgers, and the bottles of wine and the sushi.
The empty pizza boxes.
The empty pizza boxes. So if, is it 10,000? If 10,000 people participate in this trial, we're gonna switch out the statues. So not necessarily all of them, but certainly most of them. All of those original statues classed as I think it was the food statues in the stamping group, will get switched out for something brand new. Please don't ask me what. Just something new and different and fresh for yet another visual feast in Infiniverse. No pun intended.
I'm guessing it's going to be little heads of all the developers.
On spikes.
Yeah, on spikes.
Not mine.
Bleeding.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so that's on the cards. The other thing that I want to talk about is the cross-game rewards. So we've also mentioned and announced in the newsletter that we will be giving rewards to those people who purchase the flip and play to at least level 30. Anybody who achieves that within the same period of time is going to be rewarded with Metacoin inside Multiverse. That is correct. You are going to get Metacoin in Multiverse if you achieve level 30 in the flip. Now that is a relatively exciting element. We're going to give away 1,000 Metacoin, which is obviously about $10 worth, give or take, which given the fact that the flip is currently on discount and we've announced a discount code for getting a discount on the flip, it is potentially possible for you to earn more in Metacoin from playing the flip than it costs to buy the flip. So just a little hint for anybody watching the devcast, go out there, get the flip, get to level 30, which isn't that hard according to Jake. He says he can do it in a couple of games.
Easy peasy.
Easy peasy. Then you'll actually come out ahead. So yeah, definitely worth doing. The reason we're doing it and the reason it's worth mentioning why we're doing that is because as a metaverse app, the idea of a metaverse is much more broad, wide, and bigger reaching than just an application. Our goal has always been to be able to be a bridge between applications, between games. We've opened up doors so that you can launch another game from Multiverse. It doesn't have to be the flip, doesn't have to be one of our products, anybody's products. The idea of being able to bridge and span multiple products is something that we think is important to what Multiverse should be, or a metaverse should be. And this is one of our attempts to see how we can start doing those sorts of bridges. So it's the beginning of something bigger, something that we're always thinking about, which is how do we bridge applications, bridge games, using Multiverse as the bridge for that. And in that process, we're going to be rewarding people.
They should make their own app, get it
Yes.
approved, and then we can put a door in there so you can jump between their own app and our app.
Exactly. Apparently Daniel's like 90% of the way there, isn't he, Wendy?
His homework.
Yeah, exactly. But yes, exactly, Jake. I mean, the idea of the metaverse is something that is bigger than just a single app. We want to be able to be there to support that. And obviously doing that with our own apps is easier than doing it with somebody else's. So that's where we'll start. So yeah, absolutely. Go get the flip, pay the flip, get to level 30. You'll probably be finding a ton of other people playing it this week as the flip is on discount in the meta discount on the App Store. And people will be going around buying loads of games at the moment. So it's a good time to get in there and do that. Now you can play the video, Wendy.
Can I?
I'm going to move so that I'm
Put that one on.
plugged in, charging.
believe that played. It's one of the annoying things I'm learning about this streaming system. It doesn't actually confirm that it all played properly. I just press a button and it goes done.
Yeah. So hopefully you weren't just watching us sitting here silently, but actually watching the video.
Spilling my drink down my front. Maybe you did. I don't know.
Yeah. No, before we go on, just want to answer a question that was posted on Discord during this chat, as this is a live chat. Bex asked, what happens if you're already level 29 or level 31 in the flip? Then you're a leg up. You're already ahead, as Fade calls out. You will get your rewards regardless. So if you've already achieved higher than level 30 or on your way to 30, you don't have to do 30 extra levels. You simply have to be at level 30 or above. And at the end of the trial period, we will award you with those Metacoin. So Bex, if you're level 29, you're pretty good. I'd get in there and get those last points as soon as you can.
I think Anthony should do an extra 30 levels just because
no, for Anthony, we're resetting his and we're increasing the cost per experience points so that he has to do at least 300,000 times what he's done to date. Yes.
Love you, Anthony.
Yeah, no, you're great. Thank you very much. You have been very helpful in finding all the bugs in the flip. So
okay. All right, let's move on then.
Moving on. Yeah.
Next topic on our list. So let's get more focus on the man of the hour, Jake.
Woohoo! Who is he? What's going on?
Yeah.
Where
Hello. Can talk more instead of just looking pretty.
Indeed. Many of you chatted to him on Discord. He's been there chiming in for various things, but we can now actually present him in person. I think it's probably the first time that he's really been on show.
I just want to know, is this an AI render of him? Is this the real thing? What are we dealing with?
I can show my true self if you'd like.
Warning, folks.
There we go. Yes, so Jake, tell us a little bit about yourself. What is it you do? Who are you? And what can we blame you for?
Everything visual, but definitely not performance. That's always breaking things, most definitely. But yeah, all of the environment art and directing the visuals, pretty much from the smallest prop to the biggest building, really. Just making, can I swear? Making stuff look cool. I'll make poop. Yeah.
I marked it as not for children. It's all right.
Oh, good. It's hard not to swear being a Northern English person.
It's okay. Most Americans won't understand what you're saying anyway, and English people expect that from a Northerner.
Well, it's not. At least I'm not Scouse.
Yeah. So
I was going to confirm. Yeah. So Jake is lead art on the flip, but also contributes to Multiverse as well.
Slowly getting more and more involved with the Multiverse stuff, which is fun.
Very different.
Very different, yeah.
Well, I mean, I'd like to ask now. We've got two artists in front of me. I mean, I'd like to ask some questions that sort of pop up. I think from now to again, now and then, which is environment art in a procedural world like Infiniverse. Infiniverse is awesome, amazing, beautiful, etc. But it isn't necessarily the most spectacularly high quality rendered environment we've ever seen on any game on PC or console like a PlayStation 5.
Sure, dirty
Jake, do you want to give us a little bit of context for that? What is it that goes on? Why are we limited? Is it just because the programmers are lazy, or is it because you're lazy? What's the deal?
Well, more often than not, I've been told to remove stuff because I'm trying to make stuff look too good. So, but it basically just comes down to the hardware. The hardware is not quite there yet, but eventually it will be. So we have to work within those constraints. And when you have a endlessly generated, unlimited world, it's a real pain in the ass to get that to work consistently, as many of you will know, across vast areas with such a small team. So it's definitely challenging. It's one of those things when I've worked on a lot of games, a lot of them realistic and visuals, and this is probably the most difficult in that there's way more constraints. There's way more to think about in terms of performance. How can you optimize textures, the poly counts of things? It's not just drag and drop or off you go.
I mean, there's a couple of angles to that, isn't there? So the one you said, there's the hardware, and I guess at some point we're going to get better hardware. Another point, we could find ourselves with better streaming or internet connections, so that we could be rendering stuff in the cloud and streaming to the headset. Both of those two things are sort of converging, and one will come first. My guess is the hardware will come before the streaming, because streaming is complex, and to get the latency required to be able to detect head movement on a VR headset and render and then send back within that frame or that split millisecond of a frame is going to be very difficult. But given all of those things, I think there is a whole load of learning that you've had from doing the flip, which is also set within a big open world, even though it's linear levels. Do you want to tell me some of the things that you think that you've learned from building the flip that you're bringing back to Multiverse, so that you and Wendy are going to be able to make Multiverse better as a result?
Yeah, so the challenge with the flip, and if you compare it to the Multiverse, is a lot more crap on screen at any one time. So that required a lot of custom loading systems integrated so that we could have more stuff and flesh out the world, which is easy to do when it's linear and we've got like big giant concrete walls to block it off. But as we've gone and developed it, and we've got the update coming out, we're learning how to better design levels with those constraints, which then eventually we can bring back to Multiverse, so if we create things there, and two, just optimize them, because there's a lot of things that, mainly with rendering on the headsets, you have a lot of anti-aliasing issues, as many would have known from the engine update, the Multiverse. That's a real pain in the butt, because it's with the modern hardware on a PC, stuff like that it's not really an issue. So most people don't really, when you make new assets, if you're from a AAA or like even an indie studio, you have to take way more into account. But yeah, there's a lot we want to bring back, mainly how the assets are created, how they're loaded, and then hopefully we can start to bring that back and populate the Multiverse with a lot more, especially things with like dynamic props on doors, and how can we make the world feel more alive, with just like alternating those out, and hopefully we can like different storefronts and things. There's a lot that we can eventually bring back from the flip into the Multiverse.
There's also a load of considerations when making something like the flip. When you're designing levels, you obviously have your route through the city, but you have to take into account your the view line. So many of you would have seen, my God, there's this big bus in my way, I can't see past it, or there's a big wall broken, I can't see past it. There is a very good reason for that. We don't want you to see past it, because if you see past it, you've got to see everything that's past it, i.e. you have to render everything that's past it. So what you can't see doesn't get rendered, and therefore reduces the performance. So that's a big thing in level design that certainly I've seen from Jake's amazing talent to design these levels in such a way that completely optimizes what you can see, literally what you can see at any one time, and therefore what the headset has to display to you.
So when Jake very technically and professionally said putting a lot of shit on screen, what he was talking about in effect was making sure that the things that you see are the only things that are there, and behind a wall there's maybe nothing, even though the brain makes the assumption that whatever they're seeing on this side of the wall continues on the other side of the wall.
Yeah. I mean, you'll notice a lot if you've played the flip, if you go on, there's a long road, or for example, there'll either be a billboard that's strategically placed to cut off a view down another road, or a bus is generally quite used quite often because it's big enough that it'll colour a lot behind it and not look too out of place. But that's like a common in most games, I think. The difficulty is that's easy to do in a linear level, but the next step is how can we get as much stuff on screen and interesting things going on in the Multiverse in a vast open city.
Yeah, where you can see in every direction at the same time down vast, long, straight roads. Because due to the simplicity of our coders like Chris, we only have straight roads. We don't have curved roads. and therefore we can have these really long view distances. One of the great things about Europe, because obviously Europe was built when rendering techniques were very low, was that there's a lot of curvy roads, whereas America, they'd built up the rendering technique and pipelines quite significantly. So when they built America, they could have these big, long, straight roads going on forever.
I remember at school, when in your art lessons, you have that perspective lesson where you draw a dot on the horizon and everything has to come out from that dot. I have never in my life been somewhere, I haven't been to the States, been somewhere where you actually see a road disappearing at a point in the distance. It's one of the weird bucket list things that I want to do, go somewhere where the road is long enough, that's not Infiniverse, that I can actually see that the road goes to that point on the horizon.
I've done it, and it's remarkably underwhelming.
Yeah, I mean, another thing with the flip, it's a lot of you people will notice I played it. It's flat, and that's because hills are also a pain in the ass, especially dynamic generated ones, because you cannot, if it's random, you cannot always predict how something's going to intersect. Like you can do a basic, there's a block below it, but sometimes that looks like.
And you'll see this over in Multiverse as well, with some of the trees, some of the items. If you have, for some reason, you guys love choosing the hilliest plots you can find and building stuff on them, and you'll often see things floating. Things have got, if you poke your head beneath the grass, as it were, you'll see the trees have got this massive 20-meter extra on the trunk in order to account for facts when it's on a slope. And some of the larger items with a larger footprint, they just won't work on a slope. They'll be, the slope is like that, the item will be jutting out because we can't build it down on it. So hills are tricky.
I think it's probably that the hills are tricky as well as the long view distances, especially in VR. But yeah, hills are, there's different ways to solve them. Most games don't have a really steep cliff with a statue on it because that's a pain in the butt to do. But obviously, we've dug that grave, so we have to remain there and make it work. But yeah, it mostly comes down to learning how.
We're going to die on our hill.
Well,
our gravestone will be floating off the hill because it's
just a bit. Yeah, you can get under there. But
well, as a result, though, you've been talking to Ollie about tweaks. I know both of you have been designing new mechanics and things that would be useful in future games, but also in Multiverse as a result of the stuff that you've done in the flip and now want to bring over to Multiverse, or has been done in Multiverse and might want to be brought over to another game. Do you want to talk about some of those?
Yeah, so a lot of the benefits of making the flip is that it was also a lot of R&D for that could be back ported into the Multiverse. So things like the build, like I said, mentioned already, having not just a single door on a building, but how we can hot swap that out with different assets. So it could be a shop or a bank. That's how the flip, all the stuff is generated at the base of the building. And now we can just have it auto-generate, and then you fill a whole street with a clothes shop, a soap shop, a bank, a restaurant, a coffee shop. And so that's one of the cool things that hopefully
It's worth reiterating as well that some of you may realise, some of you may not realise, the flip, the city the flip's in, and Multiverse and Infiniverse, they're the same thing. They are built using the same tech, using the same setup, the same config files. We define how many tall short buildings, how many thick thin buildings, and the distribution. The only thing that's different is the appearance, the skin on them. It's exactly the same thing. So that shows part of the power of a procedurally generated world, how you can change things just with the skin but have the same basic underlying tech. And as Jake says, all the things we work on the flip we can then bring back, and vice versa. And yeah, we've certainly been mooting the idea. I know you guys know we've got a load of storefront options coming out. We've been discussing, is there a way that we can get exteriors on the storefronts? Is there something we can do to make the outsides look more interesting? Insides, fucking awesome, I made them, I know. But the outsides are still going to be the flat fronts. But with what we're doing in the flip, when you go along, you see storefronts, they've got little items outside, they've got variations on the window shapes, on the shop signs. So this is something we're looking at now, and there's been a few developments in terms of, as Jake said, the door, changing out the number of the types of door we can have to bring that back in. So it's something that we're looking at, and how we can make that street level Infiniverse much better.
break up those straight lines. Because even if it's just a little door prop, like a little house facade, it makes a huge difference. Like especially in the flip, there's a lot of flat, but just having the odd shot, it breaks up those straight lines and makes it feel a bit more organic, and rather than it's just like a systematic grid and you're stuck there.
I mean, I always get impressed by the feeling that the billboards give in New York City when you go down the area of Infiniverse that has that New York skin, and you have the billboards come out with multiverse on them. It always changes everything. And I remember when we started doing that, we put things on the tops of roofs and a little bit on the front of the facades. It had a huge impact on the feel of the experience. So given all of that, and again, everything that we're talking about now, a lot of it is R&D, a lot of it's not going to be seen for years or months or something like that. These are all things that we're working on, but not necessarily able to ship or do or launch anytime soon. Given that, and given the context of saying our dreams, hopes, and aspirations, I would like to hear both of you talk about what you would like to see Infiniverse be if technical considerations didn't exist. We had an infinite number of coders and billions of dollars to throw at it. What is it that we'd actually have if all the limitations were taken away and you were given free reign?
I'd like an interface so I can actually upload things really easily. Oh, that's not what you meant. You meant actually like the visual, like the actual.
Yeah, the visual
experience.
stuff.
Oh gosh. I
Less
think
square buildings is probably the first, like the main thing. You know, break up, like Sad said, all the roads are straight lines. So we need to beat on the coders a little more so that we don't have straight roads. Because that, like I said, like it's the straight lines that make it feel very
and more variation on the building skins. Currently, it's very tiled. You can have a single window that gets tiled across. You can't, if you put curtains in one window, curtains go in all the windows. You can't have a flower pot in one and not in the other. And with the human eye, you notice that tiling very quickly. Once you spot that pattern, you see it, and it doesn't look right at all because it's not what you see in the real world. The real world is very random. If you walk along, I challenge you, walk along your local high street and actually look at the buildings. They are the most jumbled mishmash of everything you can think. I mean, the styles, the drain pipes here, you could not design that if you try. It looks so random. You kind of think
now you'd have to be very high to be able to design that in advance to be like that.
So getting somewhere in the ability to have that level of variation.
I mean, even with the textures, that's achievable on like hardware you're playing on the new Xbox. But again, with the Quest, you can't layer different noises and stuff to blend all the materials and get that kind of variation. At some point, we'll be able to, whenever the next Quest 4, 5, you'll be able to get
6,
that quality.
7.
Yeah, you'll be able to get that quality of textures to break up. Because at the moment, the best way to avoid stuff looking really tiley is less detail. So it's sort of like a less is more principle. Because you used to add too much detail, and then your eyes like, oh, that crack's repeated X amount of times. It becomes really obvious. Where if it's more bland or less interesting, which it's inevitably going to be, it's less obvious to the eye because it's a smooth texture.
So one of the things that I always noticed, I was quite impressed by when it happened in the flip, we put road markings down. And when we put road markings down, it had a huge impact on the whole visual feel of everything. And it was like, how can road markings make such a difference?
The one thing with those road markings, they were not generated. Someone had to sit there and paint lines across the whole city. So that that's all one of the things that would be awesome if we could get that generated when we get to the point where we can have roads generated in the road.
Yeah, so one thing. So with Infiniverse, the way that things like lampposts and trees are placed is very similar to how images are placed in apartments. You have slots. So along every pavement, there is a number of slots, and each slot contains a lamppost. So there's a lamppost row and a tree row, there's a statue slot. So when we're making the various areas, we simply slot things into the slots. And we can adjust the spacing between them and smaller things like that. One thing we're working on that the flip has given us is more selection of slots. So with the flip, you'll see there's things in the roads, there's things on the door fronts, there's different things hanging off different sides of the building. So we're adding new places to put things in. So if we bring that back into Multiverse, we can then start doing things like in the road, or more variety of places in which things can be put. So you can't put things that randomly.
The same for buildings, right? Because buildings, the content on buildings, we've only got the base, we've got the middle, and we've got the top, and that's about it.
So this is the drawback of a procedural world. You can't manually say, oh, I think I'd like a bush there, and manually place a bush in, because that's just a single bush that is kind of absolute in the world and can't relate to anything else. The idea of procedural is you use the config system to say every X meters place a bush down or a tree down, and it puts it all in automatically. So that's why we're restricted to this kind of slot system, but developing it all the time and making it so much more advanced originally to have many more things off just the ground floor, on the roof, off the windows, off the drain pipe slot, I don't know, all sorts of things we can add in. Again, just to break up that outline, so when you look at the horizon, look at a selection of buildings, it's not just squares, there's detail on it.
Yeah. I'm
muting myself because I think there's some ringing going on in the background, so I'll be back on in a sec. You guys keep talking.
Okay. Another thing that I've been researching is how can we get different width roads between different districts, right? Because that will add a lot. You go from a city, you've got wide roads, but if you want to build a more countryside area, we want to make those roads narrower and make them dirt.
Bendy.
And bendy when we get there. But for now, like, just being able to have different widths roads will add a huge amount to the variety.
Yeah, again, you've got limitations where two plots of different type have to tessellate. You have to be able to have a wide width road next to a thin width road, and they need to meet up without having issues.
Well, I did have a solution. Chris said that would work, and then he vanished without implementing it. So we've got ideas, and we've got a path to get into them. We just need to find the time amongst the gazillion other things that we're working on to prioritize different things.
Excellent.
Cool.
Okay, well, let's move on then. Time is ticking on, and
you can see behind San. We can.
Also just seeing that San has just changed his background to this awesome, bright, eye-catching bit of art. San.
Yeah, so a couple of things we want to talk about. The flip is going to be one of them, and some of the, obviously with Jake here, there's a whole load of stuff related to the flip that we're going to discuss. But just to give you a bit of overview, for you who don't know what the flip is, for you in Multiverse watching this and thinking, what is this thing that they're talking about, the flip? It is a social VR shooter, a first-person shooter, a co-op social VR shooter that we created. We got a trailer you could play, but that is there available on the store right now for you to buy and go play. And right now, today, it is on discount with a whole load of other apps.
I can play a trailer now for everybody. Let's
play it.
Roll it.
Code red. Outer settlements are compromised.
Yay! So, as you saw, that's the flip. It's a crazy, frenetic, mass mayhem co-op virtual reality shooter. Absolutely tons of fun. We made that last year, and it launched in April. Couple of things we want to mention. First of all, there is an update coming this autumn, and we want to talk a little bit about what that is. Yay!
Being in the
What's going to go
trailer.
into it? Yeah, which you've
Yeah.
seen in the trailer, some of the things. And also the rebrand. So we've made it brighter, more visually appealing, and catchier.
Taking control of the visuals now.
Yes, taking control of the visuals, exactly. So yeah, with this update, you'll be seeing a whole load of new things coming out. I thought it would be a great opportunity to let Jake, who has been a key part in the creation of the flip and also in the creation of the update and content that's going into the update, to talk a little bit about what you can expect to see come into the flip, giving in context that at the moment there's already, I think, 12 or 11 levels in the, there's 11 levels in the game, multiple different styles of fog, but that other things will be coming. Tell us about that, the avatars, etc.
Yep, so we've got, as at the start of that trailer you would have seen, we've got 2 new levels coming in. A lot of this is, like we said, it's a lot of design learnings from the previous levels, especially having watching people play, see what they enjoy. So you'll have noticed there's a lot more zip lines zooming around those levels, and a lot more verticality. So there's a lot more going up buildings and down buildings, and just to really, so you give it a sense of scale of how big the flip and then in turn the multiverse can be. So it's like a little sneak peek of showcasing the tech indirectly whilst being chased down by hordes of zombies. So the first one of the levels goes through, you start at like the stadium, which most of you will know if you've played the game, and then you sort of go into the underground level, which might also sound familiar for some of the OG play testers. It was one of the older levels. We've reworked it. There's a lot more going on the underground section, a key focus there, which I don't want to reveal too much because it's quite fun. It's quite a lot. There's verticality in there, but it's also tight spaces. So it's quite an intense area to battle through, especially with the zombies pouring down and then you zipping up and you're watching your friends die for another hole in the ground. So it's like a 2-3 layered little arena before you come back up. So that's probably the highlight of that level. That's a lot of fun. It's quite enjoyable. We've found in our own playtesting that new levels work a lot better, again, just from learning from our previous levels that we've created. And then moving on to the second level, that goes through like a council estate area. And the reason we've gone through an area like that is there's a huge amount of verticality there. You can be, I think it's about 6 or 7 stories up and look down with the zombies pouring down onto your friends below.
It's awesome.
Then zip line in from a lower level back up. So you can do like a little spirally donut up, is sort of how I'd explain it as you work your way up. But that's a lot of fun, just being able to, and we've tried to give a lot of, like I said, the verticality wherever you are in that level. You can look back, see where you've come from, and you're like, oh, that's cool. But you can also get like a little sneak peek of, that's the arena to come, which is used quite a lot in a lot of games. So you'll be going down a path, there'll be a break, you'll see a village, it's like, okay, I'm going there, and then you'll go on a little detour before you actually end up there. So that's another thing that we wanted to try and bring into that level design.
This use of the building's verticality is a way of overcoming the issue of the hills. So rather than bring hills in, which is a way of introducing level differences, we've just got you climbing up and down the buildings, which has the same effect of that different heightness, but without the issues of floating props.
Sounds running away. Yeah, so it goes through a little council area, and then you sort of end on kind of, I don't know if anyone's played like Halo-esque kind of run along a pier with hordes of zombies jumping up and over and after you. Now, one other thing is we wanted to add a lot more explosive barrels, because barrels are fun, especially when they explode. And there might be 1 or 2 hidden gymongous barrels.
Jake's gone to town with these Easter egged.
It was originally a test. Does a barrel scaled up 8 times work? everyone found it hilarious and fun. So I was like, well, let's keep it in, but just hide them around.
Yeah, check
Yeah,
the garages, check
see them,
behind
really.
things.
Yeah, and there's little. I tried to hide. There's stashes of barrels as well. So you might maybe in a specific garage there might be 10, 20 explosive barrels hidden in there. So you can throw them out to your friends, and then they can yeet them towards the enemies as they run towards you. So it adds a little extra bit of options in how you're playing the game. I think that's one thing we wanted to do is just the barrels are fun, but we don't really have enough of them in the earlier levels.
I think as we were recording some footage for our trailers, Marco, one of the technical artists, he spent many hours, and I don't iterate how many hours, piling up the barrels in order to create a chain reaction explosion. And as many of you know who played, it is very difficult to control those barrels.
Yeah, I think I might have actually shot.
I don't know how many days he spent trying to get this shot lined up with this kind of domino effect of barrels. I don't think it got there in the end. It's certainly not in any of the trailers I've seen, but nevertheless, it was. I'm sure he enjoyed himself.
No, yeah, I think I did pick up one of the barrels, but accidentally pressed the trigger, so it set off the reaction a bit early.
Sorry.
When I play, I think I can't remember this with you, Jake, or my son. When I play in the flip, what he does, like I say, you or him, he grabs the barrel and he runs into all the zombies and says, "Shoot me, shoot me."
That is fun, though. Gonna make an honourable sacrifice
Exactly.
for the greater good. So, but yeah, but now with way more barrels in those 2 new levels, everyone can sacrifice themselves for the greater good. So.
Okay, so we've got 2 new levels coming out, and what else can we expect with the autumn update and the flip?
So we've got a whole bunch of new zombies, variations of the existing ones. Some of them look very ugly, missing jaws, fat limbs. There's oddly a skinny tank, which sounds odd and is very freaky to look at, especially when they're sprinting towards you, just a lanky, lumbering beast.
Down the gym.
Well, I think he's just not eaten. It's a tank who hasn't had any humans to feast on in a couple of weeks in Flip City. So, yeah, so that just adds a lot more visual flavor to the game.
And then we got the long levels, right? You talked about those?
No, I haven't talked about those. Yeah, so I don't actually think anyone ever noticed, but a lot of the existing levels, if you follow them from start to finish, there's some that actually link up perfectly, and which is by design.
Crossover, yeah.
They cross over. So the end point of one is actually the start point of the next. So now we've figured, while playing the game, a lot of people just like to sit there and kill zombies for a long ass time and somehow not get sick. And I thought I was good in VR, but people complaining when I blow up the node because I want to progress. I'm getting a bit nauseous. And I'm like, well, okay, well, you can jump into another game afterwards. Yeah, but some people like to sit in there for ages, so there's now new levels that are essentially double length, so six nodes, and it's just basically joining existing levels and together, really. And yeah, luckily we designed ahead so they'd fit nicely. So that's something else to look forward to.
Yeah, and that part I think is going to be awesome. I'm very much looking forward to it. I think we're going to be making those a little bit rare, aren't we? They're going to be special event things.
I think so. I'm sure people would like to sit in the long levels all day somehow.
Yes.
But, you know.
Well, we might be able to look at that for future games at some point in the long, vast future. Okay, cool. So next up then is we got new zombies, we got new levels, we got longer levels, we got verticality, and what is it? Some other new like weapon-y thing or something?
I think it might be some kind of crossbow.
Ooh. Yeah, so
We need sound effects.
Which I don't think has been teased anywhere, so you'll have to wait for that one.
yes.
But crossbows are always fun in zombie games, aren't they? So watch the bolt get stuck into them.
I think explosive crossbows is what we need.
Yeah. Well, who doesn't like
a
it?
grenade on it?
Yeah. Crossbow bolt with a grenade attached that sits there, fuses, and then blows. But yeah, we got new weapons coming too. So in general, and also a new avatar. but he's been announced, hasn't he? In the
Yeah, Reginald. You'll see him.
Reginald.
There's a little on the trailer. I can't remember if you look back and find it. I don't think the trailer is on any channels yet. We can probably drop it on. It might be on Discord actually. Someone might have dropped it there, but we can share it and you can get a sneak peek at Reginald, who's
Cool.
Yes,
come to.
So yeah,
we have the backstory
basically,
of Reg. Yes, well, was going to the backstory of Reg. Reggie.
go on, give us the backstory.
Well, yeah, if I can remember it. Yeah, so those of you who have seen Fred, Fred has attended a seminar on the perils of a meat-driven society and decided to become vegan. And so he crossed over and joined the resistance fighters against the creep, trying to fit in to the world. Reg was not happy. So he has followed him over, and Reg is a higher class zombie. He's an agile. He's got the full armor on, so he is trying to infiltrate the resistance camp to try and bring Fred back into the zombie folds.
Okay, there we go.
How he's
I
ended
did want
up.
to put a little bowler hat on him to try and make him pass unnoticed, but it didn't quite work.
Yeah. His plan has backfired. He spends
Yes.
more time shooting his own kind now. But
You
I mean-
you play as well, Fred or Reg. You will spend a lot of time shooting each other.
Yes. Yeah, you do get a shock every now and again. You turn around, somebody's in Fred outfit, and you're like, oh my god, there's a zombie in the lobby.
Yes.
But yeah, no, those guys are coming out, so they're going to be there. Basically, now is the best time ever to go and buy the flip. It's on discount. It's available. It's awesome. Really good ratings. We're very pleased with the ratings. Thank you everybody for giving good ratings. You guys rock. And yeah, the game is lots and lots of fun, especially to play with other people. So if you are a social gamer, which I think most of you probably are, given that you're in a social VR metaverse app right now, I would suggest that you go get the flip, play it together, get to level 30. Don't forget, get to level 30, and then reap the rewards, both fun, enjoyment, and also Metacoin. So yeah, look for the flip on the store. This is the icon you're looking for. This is the image you're looking for. Go get it, have some fun, and get some Metacoin. Okay, so we're running out of time. We've already been at this for over an hour. I think we're going to have to tidy up and finish off. I think the last thing that we wanted to talk about, Wendy, was the future of the Devcast, what we're going to be trying to do, how we're going to get there. And like you said, this week we've already managed to go up a step from last week. We've got images, we've got video. We're all here in the flesh and the AI version of Jake. And in future, we are looking to do what?
Well, just ramp it up even more. As I said, submit your jingles and sound effects. They will be added to the mix so we can get a bit more audio variety on this. But yeah, I mean, what we're doing here, it's new for us, for me, just insofar as getting the hang of all the streaming software, but it is not new for Multiverse. This ability to stream on Multiverse has been there from the beginning. Get your streaming software, get your YouTube live stream, hook it up to a place in your room and stream away. So we're going to be exploiting this even further. Obviously we do have access to a bit more rooms and spaces than you do. This is currently playing in the live stream room, so those watching will be in the wonderful little theatre hall, which is a nice little kooky space, hopefully not throwing too many tomatoes at us and throwing us flowers instead. But this ability to take over screens can be exploited everywhere. So we are toying with the idea of bringing this into Infiniverse. Those nice billboards that we have around the place, we may well stream the next Devcast into Infiniverse. So whilst wandering around the streets, you will hear our dulcet tones and just be able to listen to what's going on as you go about your daily rounds, which is quite an exciting thing. Just to really ramp things up a gear. So we'll be playing with different venues, also bringing in the cinemas, bringing in other, showcasing other areas that maybe we haven't had much spotlight on them now as well. I'd love to do something over in the planetarium, take it right back to our roots. One of the key things the upgrade did for us was bring that planetarium up on a par with every other space. So we can now stream in there, we can now do live events in there as well. So just shake up how we're doing things. So yeah, maybe next week, depends on how we go. I think we've got a couple of absences next week, but also bringing in special guests as well. So obviously, thanks very much, Jake, for joining us today. Hopefully, you will
Yay.
come back again, and we'll be roping in other members of the team, trying to just keep it fresh, keep it live, and hope you enjoyed it, guys.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much, Wendy. Thank you, Jake. Thank you, all of you guys, for watching. I have just gone in and created a AI jingle for the next devcast that I will be handing off to Wendy if none of you provide one. So please, please, please provide one. Okay, guys. All the best. Thanks a lot. See you around. Oh, well, we got something happening in the flip later. We should mention that, shouldn't we?
Yes. Jake.
Oh, yeah. We will be doing a flip live stream, so the devs playing the game. You might be able to join us. I'm not 100. We'll be streaming to YouTube or into.
It's going to be streamed via YouTube into the Flip Showcase in Multiverse Showcase room. So head over to the Flip Showcase. It's currently available via the Playrooms lobby. They'll also be on the feature door as well. So there'll be direct access and on the discovery menu on the events page. So lots of ways to access that room or view it on YouTube.
Yeah, so
and that should be happening in about 4 hours, right?
You're going to have to go back into the office.
Yes, about 4 hours from now.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry, Jake. What did you say? I interrupted you.
Everyone should show up because I'm having to go back into the office this evening.
Yes.
Come over here. Do with
All
us.
of you guys.
Hey. Cool. Well, like I said, great to see you all. Look forward to seeing you again. We will try to find a way of making these more regular and predictable. At the moment, we're still doing them ad hoc, but we'll talk about that in the future. And hopefully, as we get all of this sorted, nailed, you'll be seeing more of us in Infiniverse on the billboards and streaming to all of you, talking to you about all the cool things that are going on in VR and the metaverse. All the best, guys.
See you guys.
Have a good day.
Bye.
Can't hear you, Wendy. So you're talking. I can't hear you. If anybody else is still seeing us or hearing us, we're now waiting in the downtime between devcast and live play stream of the Flip